The final KZN derby of the season comes on the penultimate weekend of matches in this electric Betway Premiership campaign. Richards Bay have exempted themselves from the threat of relegation on the back of some fine home form in 2025. They're looking upwards as they host a Lamontville Golden Arrows side still embroiled in the scrap to avoid 15th and the promotion relegation playoffs. With that, a very warm welcome to Kings Welitini Stadium Mlazi, a venue Arrows used to call home, currently for a third season in succession. The Natal Rich Boys home base as they await a return to Umhlatuze. But they have enjoyed good fortunes here since the turn of the year. Richards Bay have not been beaten since very late in December when they welcomed the champions Mamelodi Sundowns to this venue. Since then, 7 games unbeaten at home, including 5 victories, and that is what has them currently on 29 points in 11th position. They are challenging a whole host of teams above them that are on 30 and competing for a spot in the top 8. Marumo Gallants, Kaizer Chiefs and Chippa United all 1 point ahead of Richards Bay. So there's potential for movement here this afternoon. When it comes to Lamontville Golden Arrows, they're still looking over their shoulder. They're in 14th position. Cape Town City are 3 points behind them. Both sides, including today, have 2 games left to play. So there is a potential for positions to swap. Not likely today, even if Golden Arrows were to lose and Cape Town City win, because the goal difference between them is 5 in favor of Richards Bay. And we'll endeavor to try and keep you up to date with the games that matter for both teams. Keeping an eye on Stellenbosch versus Supersport United, which is still consequential for Lamontville Golden Arrows, as well as Polokwane City versus Cape Town City. And then there are 2 matches that will be of particular interest to Richards Bay and their pursuits of the top 8, with Skukuni United taking on Kaizer Chiefs, and Marumo Gallants are hosting Chippa United. All the matches that I've mentioned all coming simultaneously here at 3 p.m. local time. A little Richards Bay picture for posterity, and we'll get ourselves familiarized with the lineup. They've made 3 changes from the game they played against TS Galaxy. That was on the 4th of this month, so they've had a much longer rest than Lamontville Golden Arrows, who've played 2 games since then. Zikali is suspended. He was the goal hero against the Rockets. Ndaba and Mputuma dropped to the bench. Spani Mtungwa makes his senior debut this afternoon. He's in for Ndaba at left back. Fellow DDC grads Randy Lengema and Tlonelo Bomelo are restored to the lineup. Here's our Arrows look. They've made 5 changes from the defeat to Orlando Pirates midweek. Mayoba is back in for Watenga. Shitolo makes his 200th league appearance. Today he's in for Kobedi. Tabo Matlaba recovers just in time with his replacement from the last match. Theron now currently out. Ndwandwe is ill. Makwele to the bench. In comes Angelo Van Roy. First start in a month and a half. And Blessing Unu returns from suspension. Our men in charge today, Alfred Chabani will be the man with the whistle. He'll be assisted by Cledwin Baloy and Brian Khanyako running the flanks. This is how Richards Bay line up in terms of their formation. Against TS Galaxy, we saw Spangani Zulu, the recruit from Royal AM, hold in the midfield. He continues in that role today, although he's known primarily as a centre back. And for Lamontville Golden Arrows, Shitolo returning to the back line. That now also includes Matlaba. He was injured in the game at Moses Mabhida Stadium against Orlando Pirates. Theron came in for him. He was injured against Pirates this past week. That's Matlaba has recovered from that impact injury in time to feature here today. So Richards Bay, again, I'm sure will be relying on their home form. In fact, the unbeaten run they're on of 7 games is a club record in terms of home performances as we get underway here at the Kings Welitini Stadium. Lamontville Golden Arrows will be the more desperate of the two for the full haul of points. There's the early touch from Shitolo, finding Thabo Matlaba. There's so many former Royal AM players on the field. These are the two sides that have profited the most from Royal AM's misfortunes, each recruiting a whole host of players. The two young centre-backs that used to partner one another at Royal AM, turning out for opposite sides today. Spangani Zulu is trying to get the ball here. And Ayanda Gianni for Lamontville Golden Arrows. Spiwe Neka alongside Tsepo Mabua today. Mabua, who was ever present, didn't miss a single minute when Richards Bay were promoted 4 seasons ago now. A wily veteran is Shitolo, evading his man now. Gianni. Sibia. Easily dealt with by Maneka. Is looking to set Gumede on his way. Tulani Gumede, who on his day can be such a danger. Mid-April, he scored the only goal in that critical game against Cape Town City that they won 1-0. Beautiful top corner finish. Yet another second half goal that was for Richards Bay. Their last 7 goals have all come in the second half. As we take another look at this foul. Not since February, when they drew 1-1 with Stellenbosch and Mohlame opened inside the second minute, have they scored a first half goal. And that is the only first half goal of the last 13 that they've managed this season. So they are relatively slow starters. And from Gumede. Not enough height on that one. And the Lamontville Golden Arrows, who are good on the break, failed to escape this time around. Was the potential for a Ugandan in each of the goals this afternoon. At Edward Mayover, the Namibian, reinstated to Arrows lineup. Isma Watenga played the last game against Orlando Pirates that ended in a 3-0 defeat. Mayover replaced him late in that game. Watenga was, in fact, making his first start in around 2 months when he featured against the Buccaneers. First real involvement for the debutant Mtungwa. His clearance has fallen to Mtanti. Hlantla Zwane in the midfield, asked to play a little bit of a different role than in his previous 2 outings, where he's had to occupy that forward position. Angelo van Roy returning today to provide a little bit of pace and zip up front. Mhlongo. Arrows have won the ball here. Van Roy chops inside, lays it back beautifully. Sabia sees his shot repelled. A combination, it looked, of Spangani Zulu and Spiwe Neka. The latter has come off a little worse for wear. Decent support behind Richards Bay. Ronnie Gabriel alluding to that in his pre-match interview. That's his side. They've gained a lot of energy from the crowd, and they've played their home games here. To Matlaba, to veterans of the game. Now this is Obeko Dlamini. Gemma getting it forward for Richards Bay. Corner to come for the hosts. Lamontville Golden Arrows, until very recently, were one of 3 teams who are yet to concede from a corner this season. Orlando Pirates along with them, as well as Mamelodi Sundowns. It's only Mamelodi Sundowns now who haven't conceded from this particular type of set piece. Oh, this time they get it away fairly easily. Comes a long throw. It's been a serious weapon for teams this season, in particular Stellenbosch, who across all competitions have 3 goals from long throws. Opportunity now for Blessing Mtunu. Missed the previous games. Has shown his 4th caution of the season against Stellenbosch in Hammersdale at the beginning of this month. That's nicely done initially by Sibia. Good challenge. Enjoying that new role is Spangani Zulu. Swept over for Mtungwa. Gumete. Cleverly done by Mtungwa to just stab the ball through. Spangani Zulu. Mtungwa again, Gumete. And the debuting left fullback can't keep the ball in. Ronnie Gabriel with Papi Zotwane alongside him briefly, although he's up from his seat and back down again. He is sporting an injury today, is Papi Zotwane. As his 2 trusted assistants, Musobile Nkulu and Kagiso Takashwi, alongside him. Their team in a bit of a slump at the moment. They've lost their last 4 league matches. They're winless in their last 6. Looked decent for a moment from a Richards Bay perspective, and get another long throw opportunity here. Mtungu. And comes the cross. And no one could profit from him. Now from distance. It's a comfortable save in the end from Mayova. He's quick to dispense it upfield. "11 or so minutes into this game and the other contests around the country, and the only reports of a goal we're getting so far is coming from the match where Skukuni United are hosting Kaizer Chiefs, and it is the hosts Babino Noku who are ahead thanks to a 4th-minute goal from Ramala. And that will be very encouraging for a side like Richards Bay, who still have top flight ambitions, or rather top 8 ambitions. Funroy. Suggestion of offside there, but play continues. Sibia floats it to the opposite flank. Siandam Tanti keeps it alive. The last goal Arrows have scored, in fact the only goal they scored in their last 4 matches, all of which they've lost, came from Siandam Tanti in their home game against Orlando Pirates. Possession relinquished here. It's quick to get it back through an interception from Gianni. Tanti. Taking on Mtungwa. Not effectively cleared. And although Blessing Unu does get the shot away, he had so many bodies to try and squeeze it past. The 25-year-old from Hammersdale. Back to Salim Magula. Hurried into the clearance. Skews that one into the stands. Unu, Sabia, Angelo Funroy. Just can't keep his feet. Shitola winning the aerial duel. Last 8 games that Richards Bay have been involved in, home and away, have all produced a winner. They've won 4 and lost 4. So we're hopeful of a result here this afternoon. Last time Richards Bay involved in a draw 0-0 against Chippa United beginning of March. Their last 8 games, all producing goals, and they're looking for one here. Tulani Gumede teasing the defense. Now scraped in, and there were 3 players present in the box for Richards Bay, none of them able to get on the end of that one. Well, Spangani Zulu has come and cleaned out Duduzo Subia. Both players requiring attention here. Nothing malicious in the attempt. Genuinely trying to go for the ball there, Zulu. Big prospect at just 20 years of age, Spangani Zulu. Here's a look at the earlier efforts from a Richards Bay perspective, which Edwin Maova was able to deal fairly comfortably with. That is the first shot on target. Encouraging news from an Arrows perspective, since SuperSport United also embroiled in that relegation scrap. Stellenbosch have taken the lead in the Winelands. That battle for third between Stellenbosch and Skukuni really intensifying here. News as well of a penalty kick in the contest between Polokwane City and Cape Town City. We'll report on that as soon as we know the outcome. Massive implications for Lamontville Golden Arrows. Polokwane City have not been in the best of form. Now is the right time to be facing them from a citizen's perspective. Now Lamontville Golden Arrows on that left-hand flank. Sibia gets his pass away. And just running it out of play is the left back, Sponelo Tsele. Does like to get forward and deliver those crosses. So a former Richards Bay man, in effect, giving Lamontville Golden Arrows a little bit of a hand. Quarter hour into the match between Stellenbosch and SuperSport, and with Sanele Barnes opened the scoring there. Both Arrows and SuperSport on 26 points, although SuperSport with a far superior goal difference. Cape Town City, by the way, have converted their penalty away to Polokwane City. So as things stand, Richards Bay, or rather Golden Arrows and SuperSport United, SuperSport on 26 points, Arrows on 27 as things stand, as they get the ball in here. That touch was critical from Tungwa. Goes behind for a corner. But with Sianam Tanti lurking, he could easily have stuck that away. Crucial intervention from the debutants. Four goals from corners this season for Lamontville Golden Arrows as Ele swings it in. That's the good piece of defending. And then wide of Magula's goal. But excellently defended by Fezile Taba, who scored with his head here against Kaizer Chiefs. this time doing the defensive work expected of him. Richards Bay have conceded 4 times from corners this season. Only Magesi and Cape Town City have conceded more. There's the bottom of the log as it stands right now. Arrows with the 1 point because they're drawing here with Richards Bay. Supersport are losing. Cape Town City are winning, but it's really their goal difference that is hampering them terribly at the moment. And Cape Town City have always known that they needed to get a result this afternoon and then another in their final match, which is a very tricky prospect against Stellenbosch, who are desperate for points because they come into this round 1 behind Skakuni United in that battle for 3rd. And considering how well they did in interclub competitions on the continent this season, getting to the semi-finals of the CAF Confederation Cup, they would love to be a part of it once again, would Stellenbosch. Skakuni United were part of the Confederation Cup this season but were dumped out in the preliminary rounds. They too would love another shot at it. Fairly toasty conditions here in KZN. With that in mind, midway through the first half and a much welcome water break for the 2 sets of players. South African football on the up and up at the moment, and have been keeping a close eye on it. Several teams without some of their younger players who are out currently competing in the under-20 AFCON in South Africa. All the way through to the final. They take on Morocco tomorrow. That's 8 p.m. Wishing them all the best in that particular match after a phenomenal semi-final performance against old foes Nigeria. Slipped into space for Blessing Hunu, can't get on the end of it. Langelihle Mhlongo now, all the way back to Mabua. Tusa Sabia to Kobeko Dlamini. He hasn't he hasn't really got an opportunity to get on the ball yet and influence this game, but he's found Gumede. Richards Bay amongst the younger squads in this entire division. Seen a lot of players emerge from their very own development ranks, following in the footsteps of none other than Lamontville Golden Arrows, who have an opportunity here. A side who in their first season in the Reserve League, the Diski Challenge, that was back in 2015-16 with their senior team in the first division for the maiden season, 2014-15. They ascended to the top flight, and with that came an opportunity for their reserve team to compete in the Diski Challenge. They did so with aplomb. Duduso Sabia on the park today is the man who won them the title on the final day against Free State Stars. Our fellow contenders Mamelodi Sundowns watched on from the adjacent pitch at the Nike Centre, and since then we've seen graduates emerge to flourish on the world stage. We've seen them enhance the fortunes of not only the junior national teams, but indeed the senior national team, who won bronze at the senior AFCON last year, beginning of last year, and now making a massive, massive impact on the continental stage once again, with that upcoming participation in the final of the under-20 AFCON, made up essentially entirely of players from the DDC. That's a really good ball dispensed into space here. Ele's always on the move. Mpunu. He's been able to evade him, but didn't get a shot away. Sabia now, and the clearance from Tungwa. Only as far as Ntlantla. Ele's ball in. Langelihle Mhlongo. Coach Vusumuzi Vilakazi in attendance, as he very often is in these parts. His first big break in terms of senior coaching came at Lamontville Golden Arrows, where he was promoted after doing such good work with the Diski Challenge side. It went in 2014-15, and then again in 17-18, became the first side to do it twice. Richards Bay moving the ball around really nicely here. Shot is easily held at the near post by Mayova. Oneka stretching to intercept. Spangani Zulu. He was playing for Royal AM DDC side. And the most recent graduates from DDC Mtungwa back to Magula. Halt call to play by Alfred Jabani. Spangani Zulu is the man down. It'll be interesting to see next season, after a full pre-season, whether his new role has been merely as a stopgap and his future lies as a centre half, or whether perhaps he'll be repurposed going forward. Seems fairly adept at both positions from what we've seen since the beginning of this campaign. Well, it's usually only in the second period that this Richards Bay sides come to life. So you should be expecting goals after the break. They can navigate the first half without conceding. They'll consider that job well done. Farah has been fairly even. They're 16 goals they've scored, which is the joint fewest in the league. Only Cape Town City are fewer than them. Have been scored, have been shared evenly across both periods. 8 in the first half, 8 in the second. So, all of the games that were goalless last time we reported on them are still goalless, but there's been another goal in the Winelands. Stellenbosch are into a 2-0 lead. Devon Titus with his 8th Betway Premiership goal of the season, so that's now his best ever tally in a top flight season. Got 7 in the previous campaign. And they are absolutely cruising against Supersport United, who will be now, I would imagine, fairly worried about this final run at the end of the season. Richards Bay actually faced them in a week's time, but Supersport have a midweek obligation as well, a catch-up game against Orlando Pirates. So they do have more points to play for than Cape Town City and Lamontville Golden Arrows, but not going well today. Angela van Roy for Arrows. Hunu. Dlamini tried to keep it moving as best he could. Lozwane helping out, then playing a really good ball into space here. Sianam Tanti is offside. Clinton Baloy with the call. Half an hour into this match, Golden Arrows yet to hit the target with any of their 4 shots so far. Van Roy. Mabua takes the ball off him. Dlamini. Ele back to Gianni. No player on the park has had more touches than Ayanda Gianni up to this point. He's passed beautifully as well. Has only misplaced 1 of 31 passes, 32 now. Hasn't played any particularly ambitious passes up to this point, but 97% pass accuracy for the young centre half for Arrows. Clever little flick from Sianam Tanti. Anticipated by Van Roy, but Mineka just as alert. Gemo with the free kick. Just floated it into the area. Still an opportunity here for Tikazi, forced backwards. Mabua. Magula. Club has miscued clearance. Momentarily saw Richards Bay regain possession, but it's back with Lamontville Golden Arrows here. Good pass through from Sianam Tanti. Now Sibia. Remains on side. Tanti. Floated in. Magula punches. Now can Richards Bay break? Tulani Gomete. showed far too much of the ball there to Gladwin Shitolo. Sibia. Taking on Aba. Intended target there was Unu. Magula first to it. Glenwin Baloy recognizing the foul there from Tungwa. And his hands all over Blessing Unu. In from Pele towards the back post, huge stretch from Magula, good claim. Siandemtant can't slip it past Spangani Zulu. Well, Richards Bay have relied so heavily on the points they've accumulated at home that in fact 72% of all their points this season have been won here at Kings Willetini Stadium. The only teams that have collected more points at home this season are TS Galaxy, Polokwane City, understandably, Skakune, and then of course Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns. But Richards Bay with the biggest share of their total points coming at home. Tikazi puts in a low and fairly ineffective cross. Tungwa under pressure immediately. Final home game for Richards Bay, of course. They go away to Super Sports United in a week's time. They need just 1 point here this afternoon to collect their most points at home. They managed 21 at home last season. They won 6 games, which is the most they've ever won at home. They're on 6 wins currently, so they could set a new club record this afternoon if they get away from Arrows with all 3 points. Set piece delivered in. Gumede trying to work space for the shot. Sets up Zulu into shins. Gumede's goal against Cape Town City was just the second of his senior career in the league. A surprise to many, considering that he is a player full of trickery and a very forward-thinking player as well. Doesn't contribute nearly enough goals. An area of his game he'll be looking to improve ahead of next season. Floated forward here by Matlaba. Van Roy laying it off from Tunu. Santlazwane. crossfield from Matlaba. Now, Ntanti. A poor ball to try and link back up with Mele. Approaching the break. Arrows without a shot on target. Didn't have a shot on target across the entire match with Orlando Pirates. Jose Rivero's final game in charge of the Buccaneers. That was this week at the Orlando Stadium. It was actually the third time this season that Arrows have failed to get a shot on target, along with the loss they suffered to Magesi as Ngema floats one forward, not particularly effectively. And the other instance where Arrows didn't get a shot on target was the reverse against Richards Bay, where they lost 1-0 in mid-December. Laid off here to Matlaba, can hit them with both feet. Didn't quite sit up for him in the way he would have liked, but he still has it after gliding past two. Finds him, Munu, and Tungwa with the block. That game in mid-December, the previous meeting between these two, decided by a goal from Lindukuhle Zikali, who scored for Richards Bay against TS Galaxy at the Lucas Moripe Stadium at the beginning of this month, and then was sent off just a few minutes later. Against Arrows in mid-December, he scored his first ever professional goal. It was a brilliant little looping, curling effort. Oh, he would have loved to have another shot at Abafana Pestende today, but not to be. That win in their last meeting actually snapped a streak of 3 successive wins for Lamontville Golden Arrows in this particular tie. Last season did the double over Richards Bay. Both of those games very exciting affairs, ending 2-1. In both instances, it was Arrows who took the lead, Richards Bay equalizing, and then late winners from Arrows in both instances, both from Olwetu Ngube. Tanti. Way back, Aba. Gumede goes down, but referee waves away the appeals, and we're into the final minute of regulation time at the end of this first half. Forward by Dlamini. Ele. Sabia now. Shitolot. Zwane. Gets the return from Unu. Neatly done. Zwane battling to stay on the ball, and does.
2 minutes to 11. 2 minutes.
Shitolo. Nice crossfield ball. Ele. Dlamini. Nudged off the ball. Neka trying to get it forward here for very underutilized Clonelo Bomelo. He has an extravagant piece of trickery from Wandi Lingema, who's slowly grown into this game. Offside. There's a lot of discontent emanating from the Richards Bay dugout as Brian Kanyako raises his flag. Top 8 still there for the taking from a Richards Bay perspective, although things have changed slightly with Chipper United now trailing Marumo Gallants. So that means Gallants have jumped up from 10th position and have currently overtaken both Chipper United and Kaizer Chiefs. Gallants into the top 8. It's so congested mid-table. Any kind of positive results for those occupying positions from 7th all the way down to 11th. And there's some serious movement, as we've already seen. Sekela Sitole, the man to score for Gallants that game out in Bloemfontein against a flagging Chipper United, who have seen their form dip significantly in recent times. And just before the break, there has been an equalizer from Kaizer Chiefs in injury time, so that will change the story once again. Back live here at Kingsville Latini Stadium. Shitolo just past the post. The man making his 200th league appearance this afternoon could have put Lamontville Golden Arrows ahead. That was literally the last moment of the first half. Yeah, I should have been putting that one away, Shitolo, and he knows it. Slumped to the ground in the immediate aftermath. Well, the Lamontville Golden Arrows holding Richards Bay, have been so potent at home in recent times and could have been behind. Gladwin Shitolo looking for his second league goal of the season, and we got that famous winner in mid-January against Kaizer Chiefs. But it's deadlocked and goalless as things stand at the Kingsville Latini Stadium. Richards Bay 0, Lamontville Golden Arrows 0. Thank you. Hembu, seemingly, in fact, he is the man to have kicked us off here. Bomelo and Tikazi, who turns 26 next month, have made way. Tikazi's first start since joining from Royal AM was in the last match against TS Galaxy. Just getting up to speed with his new teammates. And for Lamontville Golden Arrows, Shadrach Gobedi is onto the park. Sabia lets that get away from him, and then just seemed to put a hand on the shoulder of Ngema and is penalized for it. Richards Bay need just a draw from this match, or their next, to see them reach 30 points for what would be a third successive season since joining the top flight. Their highest finish actually came in their maiden campaign, 2022-23, 13th place after a very, very strong start. They capitulated after the midway point and ended in 13th. It was 15th last season, had to contest the playoffs. Coach Vusumusi Vilakazi, who's in attendance today, oversaw the latter stages of their campaign and strung together a tremendous run of results at home to effectively save them from automatic relegation. Oh, beautiful feet from Ngema, whose ball didn't quite match all the work he had done prior to that. Now Butuma. Sabia limps away from the challenge. Shadrack Kubedu has been playing centre half the last couple of games for Golden Arrows. Today, having come on, takes up his place in a holding midfield role, which we've been very accustomed to seeing him in over the years. Celtic and then Royal AM. Timbercon squeeze it through. Hele now for the visitors. Good challenge from Tembu. Building patiently, Arrows. Tunga cuts it out. His clearance only as far as Kubedi. Sibia. Now Khele. Back to Sibia. Kubedi. Plenty awaiting the cross. Sibia, edge of the area. Alpha Jabani on the scene. And rules in favor of the visitors. Great free kick opportunity here. So there is a 5-man wall assembled for Richards Bay. Arrows have created a wall of their own to disguise their intentions from this free kick. Well, after an age and all that anticipation and build-up, and the set piece itself wasn't particularly good from Tele. Got it up over the wall, but not able to get it to come down again. Sibia. Van Roy dispossessed. Hooked over the top cleverly there by Langelihle Mhlongo. Wandile Ngema. Goberi and Gianni both going for the same ball. And that's what he possesses, does Tulani Gumede, the ability to beat a man. Tried to just do a little too much by himself that time around. Ngema. Ball into space from Tembu. Butuma. Set up for Ngema. Tembu back on side. Receives. Ngema. Now Tembu. Interesting idea there to switch the ball for Gumede, who goes for it, big deflection. An easy claim for Mayova. Couple of subs standing by, but they don't get an opportunity to come on here as Arrows take the free kick quickly. Shitolo. So, here come the replacements for Lamontville Golden Arrows, who have already brought on Makwele and Koberi. At this time, Tuguzan Lukele and Sabelo Sitole are on. Another two fairly young Arrows players, Sitole 22, Lukele 23. Sitole, another of those picked up from Royal AM. Goberi. Arrows have it again. Kelly immediately involved in action. Hele. Makwele retrieves. Here's Lukele, former JDR Stars man. Makwele. Gian. Batuma. Tembu. His run tracked closely by Gianni. Ten minutes into this first period. The Lamontville Golden Arrows have actually never finished with a lower tally than their current points of 26 since their relegation back in 2013-2014. They picked up just 21 points from the entire campaign. SuperSport United have pulled one back against Stellenbosch. It's now 2-1. But for Golden Arrows, perhaps the most worrying scoreline from around the grounds is that Cape Town City are 2-0 up away to Polokwane City. Darwin Gonzalez's penalty in the first half put them ahead, and they have built on that, which means that they move level on points with Golden Arrows. Well, not quite Arrows as things stand, 1 point above them, 27-26, Cape Town City. Always potential for the score to change from this point, but you can imagine how desperately they will be defending that lead now. Mercifully for Arrows, Cape Town City have had a very similar run of late in terms of the points they picked up. They've both only managed 1 from their last 5. And this could really turn things on its head today if City managed to hang on to those 3 points. And the sides that are in that mid-table melee will be absolutely licking their lips at the prospect of Polokwane City dropping points, leaving them susceptible to being overtaken in the final round of fixtures next week. Cape Town City have not managed a league win since beating Richards Bay in mid-January. So that will be the result of the weekend without a doubt, if indeed they can hang on. Of the two sides, Richards Bay probably being more content with the draw, although they are chasing that top 8 space. Looking for clean sheet number 12 this season are the Natal Rich Boys, actually joint second most currently in the league. Only Mamelodi Sundowns have more than them. Magesi also with 11. Lukele has shown a lot of tenacity since arriving on the pitch. He has Ngema. Shitola gets it away. Gumede. Still he has it somehow. Tulani Gumede. Zulu. Namtembu. Ngema. Ngema works a little bit of space, digs out across. That's over the 2 men waiting, Batuma and Gumede. Oh, we've gone past the opening quarter hour since the interval. This is a period where Arrows have been most effective in terms of goal scoring this season. 25% of their goals have come in this 15-minute period after the break, but they're still looking dangerous here. Tame effort. By the way, second City goal, Cape Town City goal, coming courtesy of Jaden Rhodes, who hasn't been nearly as effective as he was last season when he was superb. And what a critical goal that could be. Still 0-0 here. The only other game without a goal that between Orlando Pirates and TS Galaxy, the first match of their post-Jose Rivero era. Tembu can't stab the ball through, and a free kick goes the way of Shedrick Goberi, blocked to the ball by Tembu. Traditionally, this is where Richards Bay start to come alive in the second half. 14 of their 17 goals this season have been scored after the interval. 82% of all their goals. That one just doesn't quite get through for Gumede. Mabua cuts it out. Gumede now. Arrows still have a man down. Butuma. Gumede. Ngema. Tembu. Ngema. And eventually Alfred Jabani takes matters into his own hands and calls a halt to play so that Lukele can finally receive some treatment. Just over 25 minutes to play, and Golden Arrows are going to be forced into making their final change here. Well, they would have wanted to keep one in their pockets until later in the game, but it appears as though Duduza Mhlongo will have to come onto the park here. Did make an appearance off the bench in their previous game against Orlando Pirates. This is not at all what they would have wanted. For a sub, they have to be sacrificed after just 25 or so minutes on the park. 20 minutes, in fact. So it looks likely then that a 23-year-old Duduza Mhlongo will be the man to come on. He's been out for part of this season in terms of featuring in the matchday squad. That appearance off the bench against Pirates was his first in the top flight this season. So it's just 10 men on the park. Arrows come forward. Mtanti to Tlele. Gets a quick ball in. So with the ball behind, an opportunity for Arrows to be restored to their full complement of 11. And it is Mhlongo who's on. Very disappointing for Lukele. Here's another look at exactly how he got himself injured. It does seem like he stretched forward awkwardly to try and make the clearance. The presence of an opponent forcing him to get it away swiftly. Didn't appear to be all too much interference. On the attack again are Arrows Sitole, showing far too much of that to an opponent. They have it again. Makwele. Forward by Mhlongo. Maklaba to Shitolo. So of all the 6 games this afternoon, the only game that's goalless is here at the King Zulatini Stadium. Orlando Pirates have taken the lead in that home match against TS Galaxy. Now we'll see a change for Richards Bay. Tulani Gomede making way here for Sumilun Sundwana. Pirates opener against the Rockets, coming courtesy of Bandile Shandu, who's enjoying a good spell of football in the latter stages of this season, having sat out most of the campaign through injury. Never been a goalless draw between these two previously. Well, it has been a game of fairly fine margins. 4 of the 5 matches between these two sides have produced just a 1-goal margin of victory. Only exception to that was a very, very first meeting back in August of 2022 when Richards Bay managed a 2-0 win courtesy of goals from Tsundwana, who's just made his way onto the park, and Ebo Mabaso. Then Arrows went on to win 3 in succession before that victory for Richards Bay this past December. Bottom half of the table looking perhaps a little worrying for Lamontville Golden Arrows are just 1 point ahead of SuperSport United, who they were level with, but Cape Town City have crept up a little closer and look unlikely to relinquish such an advantage. They are 2-0 up against Rise and Shine. There are plenty of teams that, if things stay as they are, will be very, very happy with this weekend's result. Chief among them, probably Stellenbosch. They're leading SuperSport United by 2-1. Skukuni are holding, or Kaizer Chiefs rather, are holding Skukuni, which means that Stellenbosch would leapfrog Babina Noku. Ngema laying it off here to Zulu. Outside of your pitch, Langelihle Mhlongo seems to be in a little bit of strife. Last season, Mhlongo's best in terms of appearances made. He featured in 26 of their 30 league games. Still just the solitary goal over the course of his career. He came back in October of 2023 in a 1-1 draw with TS Galaxy away from home. Away from home, speaking of, Richards Bay have not been particularly good. In fact, in the league, they've only won one game outside of KZN. They did beat Arrows earlier this season, but that was still in KZN. So only against TS Galaxy in their most recent outing at the beginning of this month at the Lucas Moripe Stadium did they manage an away victory, or a victory outside of their home province. And TS Galaxy, of course, were not at their own home ground. This looks fairly promising here for Lamontville Golden Arrows. Angelo Van Roy can't get in a decent enough ball. Van Roy has it again after some hard work from Siandam Tanti. In the end, it all comes to nothing. Arrows winless in their last 3 away games with 2 defeats. And should they fail to win again, they'll go 4 games without a win for the first time since the 2021-22 season away from home. Went 5 away games without a victory between August and November of 2021. Their final home game comes against Skokuni United, or final game, and it is at home. Skokuni will still be chasing that top 3 spot, so it could be very difficult, and they have not performed well in Hammersdale since the beginning of last season. Have Lamontville Golden Arrows, one of the worst home records in the division. Are still some serious question marks though over that abandoned game between themselves and Supersport United at the Lucas Moripe Stadium. Called off at half time because of power outage, floodlight failure that came with that. Supersport United involved in midweek action this coming week against Orlando Pirates in a catch-up game, so they can't use this week. Although Orlando Pirates do contest a Betway Premiership match against Magesi on the 28th as Wanile Ngema gets a free kick off Gianni. So perhaps, if indeed that Supersport versus Arrows game needs to be replayed or continue from where it was left off, they could do it the week following the final weekend of action. It is Ngema. Mayova has it knocked out of his hands by a teammate, so it will be a corner kick here for Richards Bay. That's a rather unfortunate one. In from Ngema. Mayova gets gloves on that. Scraped away by Makwele. Langelihle Mhlongo. Ngema. Shitolo with the clearance. Golden Arrows have had 60% of the possession so far. Haven't been able to make it count. Siendim Tanti cuts inside, plays a good ball. Tsundwana keeps it alive on the flank. Here's Mbutuma up ahead of him, taking on Shitolo. Getting in a rather ineffectual cross. This looks promising for the visitors. Neka away. Tsundwana holding off Shitolo. Can't squeeze in the pass. Cleverly left there for Tele. Tanti. Mhlongo losing out. Now Mbutuma. Offside against Tsundwana. Just over 10 minutes to play. Arrows have in this game already gone past their usual average for passes in a game. This is just under 400. That's attempted passes, not completed. Neka gets it clear. Butuma. Tembu goes down off the ball. Makwele. Richards Bay standing firm. More defensive work for Shitolo to do. And that is an illegal challenge from Sitole. Batuma doesn't attempt to go for it with his head. He is one of the most effective players aerially. The stats reflect that this season. In from Pele. Good teasing ball. Magula gets a glove to it behind for a corner. Flung in low. Now another opportunity. Is better shape on that one. Another corner to come for the visitors. Yanel and Butuma flicking it away from danger. Again, the corner, not the best. Anywhere will do for Wandile Ngema. Mayova to Makwele. Sees that some of the big men are still up there. Gladwin Shitola chasing. Now Butuma. Off to Nsundwana. Ngema. Moses Mtembu, very tight angle. Got a lot behind that, but off the mark. Well, we have entered into the period where we're about halfway through, in fact, where Richards Bay scored the bulk of their goals. 6 of their total goals this season have come in the last 15 minutes. That's 35% of all their goals. But it's Arrows who've been more consistently applying pressure over the course of this period already. A couple of instances where Richards Bay have had an opportunity to break, but mostly they've been on the defensive, as they are now. Once again, just doesn't come together for the visitors, and Moses Mtembu carries it forward. Getting the ball into space here for Butuma. He's completely isolated. Nsundwana arriving. Butuma continues to hold it up. And needs an option a little closer to him on the flank here. Seems like Wandile Ngema just running out of a little bit of steam. He would have been the most likely candidate to actually provide some assistance for Butuma. Now Sianda Mtanti. He's still got legs. Ele as well. Makwele forced to retrieve out on the opposite flank, taking on Mtsungwa, who's had a fairly decent debut here this afternoon. From distance. Well, it might need something special to win it, but off target from Sianda Mtanti. Mutanti. Too much on that. Still time for either of these two sides to snatch it, but Arrows have won only 2 of their last 14 league matches. A clash of heads appeared. Batuma the man down. It wasn't 2 heads colliding. Batuma just getting an elbow. Lamontville Golden Arrows yet to win a KZN derby this season. Richards Bay have only done so against Arrows. It's been AmaZulu who've dominated in terms of these regional rivalries. Another serious issue for Golden Arrows this season has been that they've not regularly enough taken points off those close to them. Those currently in the bottom 5. Magesi, for example, have been very good at beating those nearest to them. 17 points of teams also in the bottom 5, at least coming into this weekend. Scores around the grounds still as they were the last time we reported on them. Maruma Gallants beating Chipper United by a goal to 0. Orlando Pirates ahead of TS Galaxy by the same scoreline. Cape Town City, goal in each half, 2-0 up away to Polokwane City. As Kukuni United and Kaizer Chiefs still deadlocked at 1-1, and then Stellenbosch with a 2-1 advantage over desperate Supersport United. Matlam. A decent ball into space here. Makwele against Mtunga. Gets in the cross. Neka loses out. Deflected behind for an Arrows corner. Still time for one of these two sides to find a winner as we enter into 5 additional minutes. Magula snatches that out of the air. The 2 previous seasons that Richards Bay have spent in the top flight, they've got 8 wins in both of them, so one more win, either a late winner here today or in their final game against Supersport United, will see them win or claim their most wins in a single top flight league campaign. Shitolo's been good today. He finds a substitute, Mhlongo. The ball in, causing a little bit of chaos. Shitolo. Makwele. Need more options in the box here to Golden Arrows as they want to steal it. Throw in to come. Fairly high up the field. They've taken it quickly. Space here from Mhlongo. Lifts it to Tmele. Far too close to Salim Magula. Go, Betty. Golden Arrows looking to conjure one more good opportunity. They've had 9 shots, but only 1 has been on target. It's been an issue. And more than half of their attempts have been from outside the area. With little hope of beating Magula. Clever little turn there from Mhlongo. Mankwele. For a ball from Sitole. Tsundwana now. Tracked well by Shitolo. Hasn't given him even room to breathe since he arrived on the park. Putuma in pursuit of that long ball upfield. And Alfred Chabani, what does he rule? In favor of Richards Bay. Well, this will likely be the final play of the game. And Mhlongo giving away this free kick fairly needlessly. Sitolo was on the scene and ready to get it clear. Inside the final minutes of additional time at the King Zwelithini Stadium. The only game of 6 in the Betway Premiership this afternoon that has not produced a goal. That's an effort that is very wasteful from Wandile Ngema. Alfred Jabani sounds the final whistle, and for the first time in 6 meetings, Richards Bay and Lamontville Golden Arrows play out a goalless draw. Well, for Richards Bay, it keeps them in contention for that top 8 place, with the likes of Kaizer Chiefs dropping points. That's Lamontville Golden Arrows now face an extremely nervy final run-in, with Skakuni United visiting them next week, and that match against SuperSport United, the abandoned match, still to be determined what the outcome will be there. But Cape Town City now just a point behind Lamontville Golden Arrows. And the game between Stellenbosch and SuperSport continues on, but Stellenbosch still have the lead there. So if indeed it were to end 2-1 in the Winelands, then Arrows would at the very least have an advantage over SuperSport. But it will be a nervy week for Abafana Bestende. Richards Bay could still reel in the likes of Chipper United, who themselves dropped points, although they did pull one back against Marumo Gallants, who had jumped into the top half. So Marumo Gallants now on 31 points, Chipper United on 31 points, Kaizer Chiefs on 31 points. Barely anything has changed in that race for the top 8, from 8 to 11. They've all picked up 1 point. Full time here at the Kings Villatini Stadium. Richards Bay 0, Lamontville Golden Arrows 0. Yep. Yep.